What it is, y'all, it's your old boy Pilkington coming back today with another Danchro video this time. And, it sounds weird to pronounce it that way. Like, I put the emphasis on the wrong syllable, I guess. But whatever. We are getting an all-new, I guess, system, you could say, here to Danchro that's going to let us basically have another way to upgrade things. So, new feature, ability board. Essentially, for those of you that have been playing Dokkan with us, Danchro is getting the hidden ability system. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. So you can upgrade characters by unlocking the ability board, enhance traits of the role, and make them advantageous in battle. Essentially, this is a pretty common feature in a lot of different games. Just not gachas only, just like many different games. In fact, we've been playing a lot of Darktide lately on Tuesday nights, and some of the upgrades and stuff like that we do with that game very similar. Like obviously, Dokkan Battle has its hidden ability system. Danmemo didn't really get one of these. They always talked about ways to implement it, but we never really got quite this full system. But essentially, what it's going to do, as you can see here in the second image, is you're going to have the ability to essentially upgrade your unit and add different abilities. And the way this usually pans out, now they don't really give us a lot of details here on this. But the way this usually pans out is you wind up getting dedicated materials, kind of like we did in Danmemo with the Ascension system. But what you're going to do is you're going to have the ability to basically pour those resources into upgrades that let your characters do new stuff. And sometimes, and very often with these systems, you can actually customize some of how these characters work. Case in point, I'm going to go back to Dokkan Battle because that's the one I've been playing for years and years. Essentially, you can choose whether your unit does critical hits, or maybe attacks more than once per turn, or can dodge, things like that. So, and that's just one of many examples of different types of things out there. Obviously, you've got a magic unit. You can spec into magic over strength. You've got a barbarian class. You can spec into strength over intelligence, whatever the situation happens to be. Now, right now, it looks like the first iteration of this that we're getting looks pretty linear. It looks like you have a set path you can go down. But if they really do expand on this, if they kind of blow this up and make this like its own thing, this actually could give you the ability to do a lot of customization. Why does that matter in a gacha? Well, simply put, especially when I'm looking at like the PvP systems and all that stuff, you have the ability to give your character some highly advantageous attacks that would help you specifically in PvP or specifically in raids, or you can really customize your character to take on attributes that are unique, specific to your build, and give you the opportunity to potentially one-up your opponents. There's a lot of strategies and things like that this will afford you. Now, as I said, right now, this does look extremely linear, but I'm looking forward to down the road, potentially this may be opening up a lot of those other avenues. Now, obviously, we're going to get some more information on this here shortly. This has already been slated to be implemented here in, I believe, 2 days. It said on the 14th. So, and that's at UTC, so it may even come tomorrow. We'll have to see. But when this does come, we'll kind of talk more about it. Obviously, you can see there's dedicated materials over here where you'll be able to open that up. And so essentially, rather than limit breaking unit, this is another way that you can just really heavily increase that the output, or I guess not necessarily that. Sometimes just the general capabilities of a character can be changed completely through these ability boards. So this kind of goes back into something that I've been talking about a little bit here and there. I keep threatening to make a video and I haven't. And I think with this, it really kind of sets the stage for me, where a lot of people have been critical of this game for not really giving us the ability to get guaranteed units. But the one thing I think people are forgetting is that with Danmemo, where yes, you got guaranteed units all the time, they never guaranteed you all of the units. And that's kind of the big thing here. And even if you wailed, I don't think you got all the units usually. Sometimes, but not always. So, what do I mean by that? Well, in Danmemo, to get to level 80, you had to have the original unit in 5 separate bonds to max that unit out. And in all situations, if you do not have like a bond, You are levels upon levels upon levels behind everybody else. It was a very unfair system in that if your unit wasn't at least level +4, if not fully maxima broken, then the unit practically became worthless. There were very few instances where even like +3s would be good, or even tolerable in most circumstances. So essentially what you're looking at with this is another way to upgrade and improve units. Now, there is limit breaking in this game, but the limit breaking isn't level based. The limit breaking in this game really adds just a small hint of power over what the unit does. It's less than 5% usually in most circumstances of what the unit does overall, whereas this is going to do even more. So while limit breaking unit is good and can give you the edge in battle, it's not everything, and this kind of drives that back home. Now, what's the straps? We know more. I'll drop a whole video on that. But for the people that were kind of dogging on this game for its rates, yes, the rates are atrocious, just absolutely terrible, terrible rates. But unlike Danmemo, I think it's acceptable, because if you really do, in fact, I'll pull up the game over here. If you really do go into the summon system, you do have the ability to, exchange your items, and then oftentimes go in there and get tickets and stuff like that that will guarantee you a 4-star, if not a really high chance at the new unit. So I'm not going to be terribly critical. I think it's all a step in the right direction to kind of balance the game out a little bit. That said, guys, I haven't been showing you guys my summons, so let's go do our daily summons here real quick. And I apologize, I haven't been showing you the summons, but it just kind of is what it is. We've been working on the Danmemo archives. If you guys were playing Danchro and you haven't played Danmemo, fantastic game. It was around for 6.5+ years. It's actually coming up on its 7th overall anniversary. So, it's just a really, really, really fun game we enjoyed. So, let's see. Let's go and do our wind unit here. Bam, bam. So, I've been working on my archive. Ooh, is this a 4-star? Been working on my archive of that, and it has kind of derailed this game a little bit, as I'm sure the perceptive of you have already figured out. So I do apologize for that, but okay. Scene card. It is what it is. Let's do our Earth attribute. So I do apologize we haven't been talking about this game as much lately, but that archive project has definitely really been at the forefront of my mind. Now, I am going to archive the current story here, so we're going to start archiving this game as well, just because, if there's one thing that holds true, I adore this franchise, and I really think this franchise deserves every opportunity to shine. So we're going to archive all the stories, both from Danmemo and Danchro here, to kind of help people maybe familiarize themselves with things that have changed in the lexicon of the game. Because I know with Danmemo, we had a lot of stories. A lot of stories that expanded on the lore that even the light novels didn't necessarily. So we're going to kind of continue that role here with this game as well. All right. Doesn't look like this is going to yield anything. And I know some people have been critical of this game, and rightfully so. This game has its quirks, but no game is perfect. So we're just going to kind of continue on in those fashions. But there you guys go. Ability system incoming. Got these free summons every day. Make sure you guys are taking advantage of that. Like, comment, share. And I'll be back with more Danchro for you coming up real soon. But we have a ton of Danmemo dropping tonight. So if you've been enjoying that game, make sure you check those out. Those are super fun.